Hello viewers, in our previous video we saw about the definitions of thermal analysis, equilibrium in which a kinetic diversion we have studied. Then we saw about the general apparatus used in the thermal methods of the analysis. In today's video we are going to see about the factors affecting the thermal analysis result. Many analytical methods give a result that is specific to the compound under investigation. For example, the infrared spectrum of the polystyrene is the characteristic of that material. Many thermal methods are much less compound specific, and the results obtained may depend upon the conditions used during the experiment. The reasons for this is due to the dynamic nature of the processes involved. In this diagram, we show the dynamic nature of thermal analysis method. Here, the furnace is there, and in that furnace, we have kept the sample for heating, and the sample will be characterized by thermal methods of analysis. When you heat the sample, the dotted line shows the transfer of the heat, while the dashed line shows the evolution of the gases. So this is the dynamic nature of the thermal analysis process. The signal which is generated by the sensors will depend on the extent and the rate of reaction, or the extent and the rate of change of the properties measured. The transfer of the heat by conduction, convection and by radiation around the apparatus, and the interaction of the surroundings with the sample all affect these changes. It is essential to report the precise conditions used in the thermal analysis experiment. Similarly, comparison of the samples should only be made when their curves are run under the same conditions, or when the differences in the conditions are there, they should be clearly stated. The main factors which affects and they are considered and reported for every thermal analysis experiments are: the first factor is the sample. The chemical description of the sample should be given. So you should show the chemical description. Along with the chemical description, it should be also given the source of the sample and the pre-treatments which are carried on the sample. It is also important to state its purity. One should state the purity of the sample, the chemical composition, and formula of the sample. So these are the necessary things. If the sample is diluted with another substance, such as an inert reference material, then the composition of the mixture should be given. This diluent can greatly alter the thermal conductivity of the sample. Even particle size may alter the shape of the curve, especially where a surface reaction is involved. For example, hydrated copper sulfate pentahydrate, CuSO4 5H2O. If this compound has a particle size of 50 to 60 micrometer and it is provided by XYZ Company Limited with GPR grade, and if in that sample it is diluted with 50% of alumina, then these conditions should be mentioned while performing the thermal method of analysis on this sample. All these factors could affect the thermal analysis curve. A change in the chemical composition would alter the decomposition of the copper sulfate sample. as would be the change in the purity. The diluent will alter the heat transfer characteristics and the shape of the curve, the history of the sample, and the possibly its method of preparation. It can also affect the thermal analysis curve. Trace amount of impurities can catalyze the decompositions and causes different reaction sequences. The second factor is the crucible. The crucible is the sample holder in which we keep the sample whose thermal analysis is to be done. The material of the sample holder or crucible, it should be stated. So what material is used for the manufacture of this crucible, it should be stated. So material should be stated together with its guide and its geometry. So one should know what is the geometry of that crucible, whether it is shallow crucible or it is deep crucible. The sample holders are chosen because they will not interact with the sample during the course of experiment. However, changing from aluminum to platinum or to silica or alumina may also alter the heat transfer because of the different thermal conductivity. Every material will have its own thermal conductivity, and therefore one should mention what is the material which is used for the manufacture of this crucible, so they can know about its thermal conductivity. And possibly the chemistry of the process. For example, if a reaction occurs that could be catalyzed by platinum, and if we are using the platinum crucible, then the reaction will proceed to the faster rate. But that will not happen in the silica crucible. The geometric shape of the sample holder is also important. So the geometric shape is also important. Some crucibles are shallow, some crucibles are deep, some crucibles are pan-like. So the geometry of the sample holder is also important in the thermal analysis. Since a shallow wide holder will allow free diffusion of the reactant gases to the sample, and the diffusion product gases goes away easily. While in narrow or deep holder, the flow of gases get restricted. So the geometry of the crucible is the important factor. The third factor which decides the thermal analysis curve nature is the rate of heating. The rate of heating. How you are heating your sample during the analysis, that is important one. Experiments may be carried out at heating rates. Say for example, if the heating rate is 0 Kelvin per minute, that means this is under the isothermal condition. There is no change in the temperature. The dT by dt, if it is 0 Kelvin per minute, that means it will be the isothermal heating. The heating rate in the normal rates, it is about 10 degree Kelvin per minute. 10 degree Kelvin per minute is the normal heating rate. That heating rate may go as high as the high rate of heating, that is 100 Kelvin per minute. So this is high rate. So we can change the heating rate, and on this heating rate also the nature of the thermal analysis curve depends. Similarly, Experiments may be conducted with different cooling rates. This high heating rate is generally simulates the burning of the material. As we heat the sample by different heating rate, similarly we can also cool down the sample at different cooling rates. Since the rate of heat transfer of physical change and the most reactions are finite, the sample will react differently at different heating rates. So heating rates are important because different types of chemical reaction could take place at different heating rates. The transfer of heat between the source, such as the furnace, and the different parts of the sample or reference material is not instantaneous, but will depend on the conditions like conduction of the heat, convection of the heat, and radiation that occurs within the apparatus. There is bound to be thermal lag between different parts of the apparatus, and the higher the rate of the heating, the greater will be its lag to be obtained. The general equations which describes the corrections to be applied when working at different heating rates, and these corrections are denoted by the symbol beta. So this beta, it is related with the corrected temperature, and that equation is given as TE is equal to TE0 plus A into beta plus C, where this TE is observed uncorrected temperature at heating rate of beta. So this is the observed temperature. TE0 is the corrected temperature when beta is equal to 0, and A is the constant, B is the heating rate in kelvins per minute, and C is the correction determined by calibration method. For example, for the gallium melting, the TE will be equal to, for melting of gallium, the TE can be found out as the T0, that when beta is equal to 0, the temperature, corrected temperature is 303.56 plus A is equal to 0.074 into beta minus 0.2, and that comes to be equal to 304.1 Kelvin. So in this way we can calculate the corrected temperature by using the heating rate. A rapid heating rate may allow some of the samples to melt before it decomposes. If you keep the heating rate high, then sometimes the sample may get melt before its decomposition takes place. While at a slow heating rate, all the reactions has occurred before the sample get melt or before the melting temperature achieved. In order to approach the equilibrium conditions more closely, we should use a very small heating rate. So most of the time the heating rate should be kept low enough so that all the equilibrium conditions they can achieve while performing the experiment. We should use a very small heating rate, preferably less than 1 Kelvin per minute. The heating rate will also affect the start, the range, and the finish of a change. For example, the initial temperature in case of fast heating rate will be greater than initial temperature in case of slow heating rate. Similarly, the temperature which is recorded at the final stage becomes larger one in the fast heating rate than in the slow heating rate. So the initial temperatures and the final temperatures which are recorded when you keep the heating rate high, they are having larger values. And when you keep the heating rate slow, the initial temperature and the final temperature of the change are having less values for the slow heating rate. And therefore, the range also in this same order. So the range, that is Tf minus Ti at fast heating rate, have the larger value than Tf minus Ti in the slow heating rate. So the change in the heating rate will affect the temperature which is recorded for that change. So when you keep the heating rate fast, the temperature recorder is higher one, and when you keep the heating rate slow, the temperature of change is having lower value. The resolution of the two changes which occurs at temperatures close to each other is likely to be much better at slow heating rates than at fast heating rate. Heating rates need not to be linear and may follow a complex pattern which must be specified in details. It is not so that you have to keep the same heating rate throughout the experiment. The heating rate from the start of the experiment to the end of the experiment, it may change. For example, one can do the thermal analysis at isothermal analysis way at 25 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes. After heating the sample at 25 degrees Celsius for 2 minutes, the heating rate can be changed as 50 degree Kelvin per minute, and that heating rate can be maintained up to 300 degrees Celsius. Then one stage will come there where the sample is to be heated at same temperature for about 10 minutes. That will be the isothermal heating of the sample at 300 degrees Celsius. Then one can cool that sample at 5 degree Kelvin per minute to the room temperature. So in this way, the heating rate, it can be changing when you perform the experiment. The remaining factors which affects the thermal analysis curve, that we will see in our next video.